You are welcome to either start seated actually or lying on your back. So just decide where you'd like to begin. Either way is fine. So maybe even check in for a moment with yourself and what would feel most comfortable to you. Just noticing especially if you've had any back stuff going on, maybe lying on your back would be a lot more comfortable while we take a few minutes to center and arrive to our practice together. And I'll give you a moment to settle in. When you've found your posture you'd like to begin this practice with, take a moment to follow your breath. No shaping it or directing it, just notice your body or observe your body breathing as we arrive in the moment together. Let's take some time here to check in with our koshas or our layers of being so that we become more familiar with who is here on the mat today. Letting go of the person that was on the mat yesterday or last week. Starting with your physical body. A little scan from head to toe. Notice where you may be carrying any tension or stress. Areas that are talking to you or need a little extra care, love and compassion, patience today. Nourishment, nurturing. Notice your energy and breath body, the quality of your breath, and the subtle energies that are flowing within you and around you. Whatever that experience is for you, it may be tingling sensations just beneath the skin. You might be very aware of one of your chakras that is talking to you or out of balance. The next layer we want to recognize is our mental and emotional body. Noticing what emotions are right there at the surface or even arising and pouring out. And we want to notice our mind and where our thoughts continuously want to take us. Is it to a story or something you have going on next after class? Bring it back into the moment again and again, whether it's through the sensations of breath or paying attention to something in the physical body, an area. Using these tools to continuously and gently invite ourselves back to the moment. A willingness to be with whomever is here on the mat and whatever arises. And then we want to connect into or notice how connected we may or may not be feeling to our intuitive body, our inner knowing. And it's easy to get pulled off center with the external world. And so May this practice guide you back to that center to deeply trust your inner knowing. And the more we connect into our inner knowing, the less we pay attention to the external world or allow it to bother us less and less or affect our center. We remember that we are peace and bliss, our essence. And so may this class remind you of that too. Find your way back into the breath, beginning to lengthen it and even it out. And finding the length of inhale that's comfortable but extended. And the exhale is approximately the same length. As you continue to breathe deeply and evenly, I'm going to share you a reading from the Power Path, which is a school of shamanism, and I love to follow their monthly reports, their moon reports, full and new moons. And then we'll go into a little pranayama practice that'll help to ground us, because that's what's being called for today, this month. This is an unstable, somewhat volatile and unpredictable month where everything is intensified by eclipses and challenging astrology. It's easy to get stuck in one camp or another, one attitude or another, much like getting caught in an eddy on a river, not being able to paddle out easily into the main flow. It will take some discipline to keep it moving, as well as determination to move the energy physically through the body in an appropriate and positive way. Whenever there is instability and unpredictability, there is great support for change. We have to be careful that we don't create change through negative reaction, but rather through positive, determined, and proactive focus, keeping track of our goals as everything seems to be dissolving around us. The mind will spin in circles, creating anxiety and worst-case scenarios. The emotional center can be angry, vengeful, irritated, despairing, or depressed. So it is up to the moving center to keep things moving. We are all reacting to weeks of inactivity and impatient to get on with it. In the midst of getting on with it, it's important to honor the process of change, to accept what is wanting to dissolve, and to be proactive in a positive way and embrace the instability and unpredictability, not as enemies, but rather as allies, supporting us to move in new directions. The challenge this month will be to stay focused and grounded and not to jump into the pool of fear, anger, and despair, but rather to keep track of your own truth, goals, and new directions. This can be an incredibly creative month with many new insights, breakthroughs, new directions, and enough energy to launch all of the above. The challenge will be to avoid distractions of drama and people behaving badly, nostalgia about what is being dissolved, and any resistance to change. You will need to look at your attachments, process the loss, and move on. When in doubt, move your body. Walk, dance, run, do yoga, tai chi, qigong, and a walking meditation whenever possible. Include a spiritual practice with physical movement is optimal this month, as it combines two very important elements that will keep you on the best track possible. So, having shared that, just tune in to what you are experiencing again. You may have really connected in with some of those energies, not even realizing that's where they were coming from. So as we're trying to emerge out of this pandemic and this sheltering in place for several months, and now we're opening into a society of unrest. The people are standing up. And that can create a sense of fear and feeling ungrounded, again in the unknown. And so creating a practice of being grounded is really important more than ever. And so take a moment just to reflect upon how you started your day. From the time you woke up, what was your way of moving or entering the day? Did it ground you? Did it help you feel or dive into your center? Or did you jump into it with a to-do list or, multitasking? Or did you feel already when you woke up a sense of anxiety and still grab the coffee? And so we can reflect upon these because our morning routine can set us up for the rest of the day. So not to beat yourself up, this is just to notice it because we move habitually as to how you might want to change that tomorrow. Is there something that would serve you to begin the day in a more calm, centered, and grounded way? And that's different for everybody. And we're going to look at this again towards the end of the practice. Right now, what I'd like to invite you in is back to that even breath if it's been lost or it's wandered away. And if you can, I'm going to invite you into a 5-count inhale, 5-count exhale. And then we're going to increase that where we're going to move into a 5-count inhale, hold 5, and we're going to exhale 10, hold 5. What I want you to pay attention to if that is truly comfortable for you. So if this feels stressful or creates a strain in any way, you want to back it off. So maybe you do 4-4-8-4 or 3-3-6-3. You can find what works for you. So wherever you are with your breath, go ahead and release or empty out. And then I'm going to guide you through this. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. One more round. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let any manipulation of the breath go. Feel the sensations or the effects of that practice. Very brief pranayama practice. Anytime we extend our exhale, it's calming and grounding. We'll come back to that in Shavasana. For now, find your way back into an even, smooth breath. And if you are feeling particularly anxious or unsettled today, then you can incorporate very gently the Ujjayi pranayama throughout the practice. It's going to be a very slow grounding practice. And so by constricting just softly the back of the throat, it's also called the ocean breath. That can be very soothing and calming for people. Because I'm inviting you into a practice of being grounded, I'd like to bring our attention to our feet again, just to begin with, just gently massaging. We won't spend as much time on our feet as we did in the last class, but we'll go ahead and take one of your feet, even if you're on your backs, but if you need to, you can come seated. And you're just going to gently massage them just through the arch of the foot and the balls of the feet and the toes. Just gently work your way around the whole footbed, noticing any tender points. You might want to create a gentle acupressure point there, even if you're not sure what that point relates to in the body. It's tender for a reason. Just trust that. And then also just extending gratitude or being grateful for all that our feet do. And then we'll switch. We'll move to the other foot. Notice if it's the same area of tenderness or if that's changed a little bit. Again, a little gratitude, being grateful or thankful for all the places our feet take us. And then let's go ahead from here, and if you haven't found your way onto your back yet, let's go ahead and do that. So supine poses, seated poses, and strong standing poses are very grounding. So anything that helps us stay connected into the earth is very grounding. So notice your spine as you lie back. Place your palms on your belly. And just take 3 deep breaths into the belly. Allow it to expand on inhale and gently contract on exhale. Each breath out allows you to drop more deeply into the earth, into your mat, as you surrender to gravity, allowing yourself to feel heavy, and also understand that beneath you, the earth is nurturing us, nourishing us. Come back into that even breath. And we'll go ahead and draw the knees into the chest. So again, anytime we move from a beginner's mind, when we slow our practice down and move mindfully with our breath, it can be very grounding. We inhale as we move the knees arm lengths away, and exhale as we pull them in close. If you find your mind wandering into the stories, what's your best anchor? Is it to be aware of what the physical body is doing or what it's experiencing? Is it your breath? Are you playing some music? Is the music helping you to stay here, just listening to the rhythm of the music? And we're just gently guiding our minds back again and again. So just know that you're not alone if you find yourself wandering off every few seconds. That's human nature, and it takes practice and lots of training of our minds to keep them in the present moment. From here, let's go ahead and take the knees and circle them around. Make sure you switch and circle the other way. And then take the knees and circle them wide and around. And then from here, let's go ahead and place both feet on your mat, parallel, hip width apart. Let's take some time just exploring our moving bridge and connect with our breath. And what I'd like to invite you today to do is let's find an inhale 4 and an exhale of 8. And so as we release out of the pose, each exhale, we're really taking our time bringing the spine back into the earth. So wherever you are with your breath, we're going to use our arms. We're going to do this with a 3-part moving bridge. So arms by your side, palms down. Empty the breath out. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, we're going to lift the hips and bring the arms overhead on a 4 count. And then exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then pause for a moment and then move back in. And I'm going to let you find your own rhythm here. Inhaling 4, you might even pause for a moment or two at the top. And then exhale 8. Just slowing it all down and then pausing after the exhale, just a moment or two. So just find this on your own. We're going to move into the three part in a moment. Once you find this rhythm, the next time you find your arms by your side, pause there. And then we'll take this into our three-part moving bridge. All right, and you'll continue with that 4, pause, 8, pause. Okay, so the inhale, hips up, arms overhead, 4 count. And now we leave the arms overhead and exhale that 8 count, slowly bringing the spine back into the earth and the hips all the way back down. Maybe pause just a second or two. Inhale, bring the hips back up, 4 count. And then the 8 count brings everything back down together. And pause for a moment or two. 4 count, hips up, arms overhead. Pause a second or two, and then exhale just the hips for an 8 count. Really slow this down. Pause. And then inhale 4, bring the hips back up. And everything back down together, including the arms, 8 count on the exhale. So a couple more rounds with this on your own. If you change up the rhythm of the movement, that's fine. Stay with the breath. The next time you complete the movement where everything's back to neutral, where we started, just pause there. And again, taking a moment to just feel the effects of the practice. Notice the energy body settling down a bit. Find your way into an even breath once again. Okay, we'll do one more series here on our backs where we extend the legs to the ceiling. So the inhale, we're going to come back into that inhale 4, hold for a moment, exhale 8 and hold. And we're just going to use the lower half of the body a little differently. So when you're ready, inhale 4 count, hips up, arms overhead. And then the exhale 8 count as you lower the hips back down and pull the knees into the chest with your hands. The 4 count inhale, we extend the feet to the ceiling, bring the arms overhead. And the exhale of 8 count, bend the knees and lower the arms, feet come back into the floor, and we're back to where we started. Inhale 4 count, hips up, arms overhead. Pause. Exhale 8 count as you lower the hips, draw the knees into the chest. Inhale 4 count, extend the legs, reach the arms overhead. And then exhale an 8 count, everything comes back down to where we started. Take your time. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, hips up, arms overhead, 4 count. 8 counts to pull the knees into the chest. Inhale, extend the legs, arms overhead, 4 count. And exhale, 8 count back to where we started. Pause and feel the practice. Let's go ahead and find our way to hands and knees. So rolling to one side. And we're going to continue to play with this breath in the practice. So as you find your way to tabletop or all fours, engage with the core so we're supporting our backs. Empty the breath out. Inhale, 4 count right here. And then exhale, 8 counts back. Inhale, 4 counts. Pause. And exhale, 8. So just find your rhythm with this. It's harder for me to find that accurate count as I'm talking as well. So you're just going to pause in child's pose for a moment or two. You'll inhale 4 counts back to all fours. Pause for a second or two. And then exhale that 8 count all the way back. So beautiful place to close the eyes if you feel safe doing so. So this becomes a real inner journey of breath and movement in the present moment. The next time you find your way up to hands and knees, pause. Curl the toes under. And let's go ahead and find our down dog. Don't worry about that count of breath right here for a moment and just simply walk your dog. So pedal the heels in and out of the floor. Bend the knees, shift through your hips. Just kind of discover what's going on through the spine, the shoulders, the wrists, the ankles, your calves, your hamstrings. And then we'll find our way back to our knees. Back into a child's pose. Pause there. Take a few breaths. And then let's go ahead now. We're going to come into our mini flow and we're going to use that 4-8 count. So you inhale to hands and knees, 4 counts. Pause for a moment, curl the toes under and take 8 counts to press up and back into your down dog. Find that long spine, root into the earth. Pause for a moment or two. Inhale 4 counts to the knees. And then we bring ourselves into that child's pose with an 8 count. Okay, so just like we've been doing, find this on your own. So each inhale is to hands and knees, and it's a 4 count. You can pause for a moment or two in that flow. And then the exhale brings you back into either down dog or child's pose. As we alternate between them. Always feel free, if you find yourself in a pose that's really feeling juicy and nourishing and good, just stay.
So dropping back and going inward, deeply inward into child's pose is really serving you today. Stay there for a moment. You don't have to keep moving if that's not helping you feel grounded or stable or centered, or even if your intention's totally different this morning. Really listen to that. The next time you find your way into a child's pose, pause there. Feel the practice. Notice your body, your physical body, your energy body, breath. Checking in moment to moment. Good. So from here, we're going to go ahead, find your way up onto your knees. And we're going to do a similar breath. This is really nice for the back. Okay, so we're going to keep the left hand behind us. Okay, and I just have my back of my hand to my low back, my palms open. But if that's not, yeah, I would think this is more comfortable. And then reach up with the right arm. Okay. And then what we'll do from here, and you can do this if any of you have any knee challenges, you're not able to get back into child's pose comfortably, you can actually do this on your belly and just lift up and down from a single arm if you need to, or you could do this from standing as well. So you can modify this. But our exhale, hug in the core, the exhale is going to draw us back into that child's pose. And that's an 8 count. Okay, so this is really a nice back strengthener. Use your core, you got to use your core to inhale back up. Now, if your low backs are really sensitive today, you might want to keep both arms behind you. Anytime we have our arms lower, it's easier for our backs. Okay, so really listen to what's going on in your body. All right, so starting here, we inhale 4 count. And then to lower, it's an exhale. Okay, so whatever position you're choosing, inhale 4, and then exhale 8. All the way back into that child's pose with one arm extended or both arms behind you. Right? You decide. And then the 4 count brings us back up. And we'll go 4 rounds. Notice if it's nice to pause that moment or two in between the inhale, exhale, and exhale and the inhale. Let's go one more. Come up on our inhale and then lower that right arm. Let's bring that one behind and extend the left, if you're extending any arm at all. Okay? So because I'm sure that we moved more than 4 rounds, we probably went about 5 or 6. Inhale 4 here, and then exhale for an 8 count. If you're noticing that your back is getting tired, you might want to pause in child's pose, just resting there. The next time we inhale up, lower that left arm if it was extended, and find your way back to hands and knees. Okay, so all fours. Okay, let's do one more back strengthener. And as we do this, we're really plugging into the earth. We have our palms into our mat, so feel the solidity there. We have our knees in the mat. We have our feet, whether you've curled your toes under. My feet are cramping this morning for some reason. More water, I guess I need to drink. Or the toenails on the floor, one or the other, okay? But just noticing the parts of the body that are connecting into the earth, and really feel that floor beneath you, whatever you're on. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and on an inhale 4 count, extend the arm and opposite leg. Okay, now we're going to keep this count even. So we inhale 4 and exhale 4. Back down. And then we inhale left arm, right leg 4 count. And exhale 4 count. We're going to just alternate back and forth, but with a nice even breath. So we have a nice, smooth, slow rhythm to our practice. Even in movement, we can begin to feel more grounded. Right? It's keeping us in the moment, really connecting in with the breath. And because the practice is slower this morning or today, you can actually incorporate the Ujjayi Pranayama throughout the whole practice. Sometimes it's harder to do the more active the class is. But when it's more slow and deliberate and mindful like this, that might feel really nice and start to allow that breath to be soothing, calming, and grounding as we hear and feel it move in the back of the throat. When you've gone equally both directions, draw back into a child's pose and pause there. All right, so let's come on up. And we're going to find our way to a low lunge, right foot in front of your mat. So if you like using blocks, you might want to grab those now. And we'll bring our right foot forward. So we're going to find this 4-8 count again. And as you come forward into your lunge, we worked a lot in the last class on understanding our feet and our foundation. So really, as you come forward, notice the front knee, which should be your right knee, that it doesn't come out in front of your toes. And if that's happening, take the left leg back farther. Okay, so bring that leg back farther. We don't want that to happen. Okay, keeps the knee protected. And then from here, we inhale forward. We're gazing forward, the heart's lifted. And then when you're ready to exhale, and you can use that Ujjayi Pranayama, you're going to take an 8 count to rock back. Just finding that stretch through the back of the leg. The toes can come up off the floor if you want. And then maybe pause there in that stretch, just for a moment or two. Inhale forward, 4 counts. And then we take our time, exhaling back. And pause. And then we inhale forward for 4 counts. Okay, so just finding your own rhythm with this. Now the next time you draw back into that stretch, straightening the leg or moving towards that. If you're using blocks, you can bring them back with you a bit or just simply walk your hands back. Keep the heart lifted here for just a moment. Come bring the toes up off the floor. Draw that stretch into the calf. Find an even breath. Okay, so maybe it's 4-4. Take the pelvis and create an anterior tip of the pelvis. So like you're trying to create a back bend rather than tucking under. That's a posterior tilt. We want to find an anterior tilt where we really lengthen that hamstring attachment. It goes into the glutes. And breathe here. Inhale 4, exhale 4. If you want to continue with that extended exhale, you're really already noticing huge benefits to that, please continue. You can do that throughout the whole practice. Tune in to what's serving you and listen to that inner teacher. And then we'll walk the hands forward again, coming into the low lunge. And then bring your hands to your right thigh. So now we're going to go ahead and move in and out of a twist, and I'd like to keep an even count here as well. So arms by your side, find that 4 count of breath. And then we're going to inhale 4 counts, bring the arms overhead. And exhale 4 counts to the right into a twist. Left hand to your knee, right hand to your sacrum. Then you inhale 4 counts to face front again, forward. And then exhale into the twist. You can pause for a moment between each 4 count of breath. And then if you want to extend this, feel free. If coming in and holding instead of moving would feel good to you, feel free. Let's take about 3 to 4 more rounds of breath here. And the next time you inhale, face forward, go ahead and exhale, place both hands in the mat, in front of the mat. Press back into down dog, walk that out a bit, shake it out a little bit. And then go ahead and take a child's pose. As you draw back and settle in, Notice the left and right sides of the body or what may have shifted. Just be in your experience of the practice so far. Be present to what the experience is. Find our way back, 2 hands and knees, and the low lunge on the opposite side. So this time, left foot forward. First things first, check in with your foundation. So really paying attention to the alignment of your knees. So as you come forward, when we rock forward into that hip flexor, where's that alignment? Just make sure it's not out in front of the toes, okay? So we can take that back leg farther back if you need to. Connect here in with your breath. So we're going to find that 4-8 count. So we inhale 4 and then the exhale 8 slowly draws us back into that hamstring stretch. Maybe the toes come up off the floor if you choose. 4 count, inhale, comes back into the lunge, heart lifts. And then the exhale 8 count draws us back into that stretch. And the next time we draw back, let's go ahead and hold in the stretch. Walk the blocks or your hands back with you. Find that anterior tip of the pelvis, lengthening the hamstring. Breathing here. So notice again, you can find that 4 count, even 4 count or an even breath, or you can double the exhale if you're enjoying that this morning right here. You decide. And then on your next inhale, come forward. We'll find our low lunge. So come up, bringing your hands to your thigh. Find your breath. And then we'll move in and out of our twist. So when you're ready, inhale 4 counts, reaching overhead. And then exhale, twist to the left. Right hand to the knee, left hand to your sacrum. Keep the spine extended. Inhale, forward again. Unwinding. Exhale into the twist. So I'm going to keep an even count, approximately 4 and 4. You are welcome to lengthen that exhale, doubling it so it takes longer to move into the twist. Just tuning into what's serving you this morning. And then on your next exhale, let's fold forward, press back into down dog, shake that out a bit. And then go ahead and inhale to the knees. And exhale into a child's pose. Pause and feel the practice. Find your way up to hands and knees. Exhale into down dog. And from here, let's go ahead and walk our feet to our hands. Coming into a standing forward fold at the front of your mat. Allow the spine to drape over the thighs, bending the knees softly. If the stretch you're feeling is too intense, and just bend the knees as much as you need to, so we can get the palms into the earth, right? Another option may be the block. If you want to lift yourself up a little bit into the block, and just the blocks in the earth, just feeling something solid in the hands. Again, the idea of feeling grounded. So feeling both feet and your hands in the earth. So connect into that energy. Take a couple more breaths here. Forward folds are wonderful ways to connect in with ourselves. Right? It's about going inside. And that's always grounding, or usually a little bit more grounding, to kind of dive in and find what's true for us. Let's take your hands to your hips, bend the knees quite generously, engage the core, lengthen the spine as you press down to come up. Coming into Tadasana or mountain pose. Breathing here, finding your balance, finding your equilibrium. And now just really noticing our feet connecting down into the earth. So let's go ahead and find that doubling of the exhale. So we're going to inhale 4 count and take 8 counts to draw ourselves into our forward fold. So wherever you are with your breath, let's do the first couple on our together. So empty the breath out completely. And then the inhale, bring the arms overhead, 4 counts, palms together. And then exhale into a forward fold, 8 counts. Pause for a moment and extend the arms by your side. Engage the core, lengthen the spine. We inhale back up to a 4 count. And then exhale back down into an 8 count. So taking our time, just slowing it all down into the forward fold. Pause at the bottom. And then inhale 4 counts to come back up. Now if that feels too quick for you, please slow it down. Okay, so you can take more time to come up if need be. Just find your rhythm here. But ultimately what we're doing is attempting to extend and slow down that going inward, that forward fold. So just do what you need to feel safe to come back up. Last round, exhaling. We're going to pause together in a forward fold. So wherever you are, just take a moment here. If you're there already, just take a breath or two. So place the palms in the mat or fingertips. Step back with your right foot. We're going to come into a warrior one. Okay, so the foot is planted at about a 45-degree angle or even less, right? And it's directly behind the right hip. Left foot behind the left hip, right foot behind the right. Okay, bend into that front knee, use your core, and come on up, and then straighten that front leg. Okay, so that's just a nice way to come up to protect, makes it easier on the back and protect the hamstrings. Okay, inhale, bring the arms overhead. Okay, and then we're going to exhale, bend into that front knee as we bring the hands to our heart, and you can bend into that front knee as far as it's comfortable for you. And then so now we inhale 4 count, and then we exhale into the 8 count, taking our time into the pose. Pause for a moment, inhale 4, and then exhale 8. Notice on the exhale, it takes us in, it drops us down closer to the earth, and just be in the experience. What are you feeling here as we slow this down, going inside, getting grounded is the intention of the practice with the extension of the exhale. So be in your experience here, notice what you're feeling, and all those layers we checked in with at the very beginning. The physical, the energy, mental, emotional, wisdom. The next time you find your way into the pose with your hands at your heart, just take 3 breaths here, even breaths. Maybe it's 4 and 4. 3 rounds of breath. And then on your next exhale, fold forward, bring both hands to either side of the mat. Press back into down dog. Walk that out a bit. Come back to the knees and into a child's pose. Breath is even. Go inside and just feel the pose. Feel the echo of the practice. Let's find our way back to hands and knees. Exhale into down dog. Walk the feet to the front of your mat. Now we're in a forward fold again. Okay. So we're going to come into our warrior pose on the opposite side. Step the left foot back, directly behind the left hip. Right foot's in alignment with the right hip. Okay. Bend into that front knee so you can put a lot of weight into that right foot. Use your core and come back up, straightening that front leg. Okay. So we're going to find this count again. The inhale brings the arms overhead, and then find your rhythm. Exhale, an 8 count into the pose, just using that Ujjayi Pranayama, slowing that breath down, maybe pause for a moment, and then inhale back up. 4 counts, and then 8 counts into the pose. I believe we went about 5 or 6 rounds, so just taking your time. The next time we come into the pose, let's take 3 smooth, even breaths. And then your next exhale, bring yourself down to the mat or your hands to the mat. Press back into down dog. Walk that out a bit. And again into a child's pose. Draw back. Take a few breaths and feel the echo of the practice. Good, so come on up to hands and knees, and we're gonna go ahead and come into a seated position. Extending the legs out in front of us. You may want to use the assistance of a blanket, as I've instructed before, to sit right on the edge of it, which can be very supportive for the low back, because if you sit on it properly, it provides a little bit of a anterior tip of the pelvis. It's a support and a lift in the low back. Okay, so as you extend the legs out in front of you, if you're already feeling some tightness here in the back of the legs and you have fascia balls, you may want to place them underneath the knees. You can also take a small rolled blanket under there just to create a little ease to begin with, because we're going to move in and out of a forward fold or Paschimottanasana into the seated forward fold. So just take this as far as it feels comfortable for you. You can keep the movement as small as you need to. Now we're going to keep our arms low. There is the option to come here and do this. All I'll tell you is that that is incredibly demanding on the low back, so you need to decide if that really serves you. I find that keeping the hands just along the legs is just a much easier position for most people. All right? So I will leave that up to you. Keep the core engaged, spine tall, so that as we come forward, it's not a rounding of the spine. It's an actual lengthening, and I'm trying to touch my nose to my toes. Okay, so my spine stays extended, or your spine stays extended. So hands can just be on your thighs. Find your breath here. And we're going to come back into that doubling of the exhale. So we're going to inhale 4, and then we'll exhale 8 as you slowly find your way into your forward fold. Now, if you hit your limit at the count of 4 or 5, just stay there until the 8 count. And then again, using that core, you come back up to our starting position of Dandasana, or staff pose. So the exhale is an 8 count, and the inhale 4. Core is engaged the whole time. Spine stays long. The next time you exhale into your stretch, pause there, wherever that is for you. Come into an even breath here. Unless you're choosing to continue to double the exhale, which you may, if that's feeling really good to you. And then slowly find your way back up on your next inhale. And we're going to remove anything we're sitting on so we can come into a little bit of a twist here. And just be really gentle with yourselves if you've had some low back or currently having any low back issues. Bending the right knee, okay? And you can keep it next to the inner thigh or up and over. Now it's much easier on the low back the more you allow your right hip to move with you in this twist, okay? Keeping the pelvis square creates a lot of tension in the sacrum. So we want to keep that movement happening. So in other words, as I twist to the right, my right hip is literally coming back with me, okay? I don't know if maybe you can see this more from the side view. I can't stress this enough. It's really been helpful for people. So taking that and drawing it back, you can see how much I'm allowing this to move. I have no stress or strain in my sacrum and low back when I do that, okay? So we're going to keep our right hand behind us and the left elbow around that right knee. Spine is tall. And then the exhale is an 8 count that draws you into the twist when you're ready, okay? I'm not counting at all because I'm talking you through this. So just finding your rhythm with your breath and that hips drawing back with you. The inhale is the 4 count and it brings you forward, facing front again, hips square. And the exhale is an 8 count as you draw back into that twist. And then if it feels safe on your neck, your head can follow all the way out to that back shoulder. And the next time you come into the twist, go ahead and pause and breathe. Because of the complications in getting people on today to the class, I am planning on going later since we started later. So I understand if you need to sign off earlier, it's okay. And then slowly unwind. Extend that right leg out in front of you, shake that out a little bit. I'm going to just turn around so that I continue to be more visible to you. But we'll switch sides. So the right leg will stay extended and bend the left knee. Either that foot stays to the inner thigh or up and over. Right elbow around the left knee, left hand behind you. So again, really noticing that left hip, it's gonna move with you, really allow it to move. It may feel like an exaggeration, but it's really nice. So finding your breath, the inhale's a 4 count, and the 8 exhale count draws you into that twist. The next time you find your way into the twist, we'll hold for 3 rounds of breath. Whether you're choosing to keep it even here or keep the exhale extended. And then slowly unwind, extend that left leg, shake it out. Let's go ahead, find your way onto your backs. Bring a block with you if you have one, or you could even use a fascia ball here. We're gonna do a restorative bridge pose for a moment with our breath. So if you're using a block, we want to place it right on the tailbone. Okay, so not up here on your low back, because that'll create a back bend and anterior tip of the pelvis, and now you're no longer in a restorative position. So you really want to bring it down closer to the tailbone. If you have one of these fascia balls, you can use that just right on the tailbone. That's nice too. It's nice and soft. So whichever you choose. And then if you're using the block, you also have the option. It's a little more challenging to do with the fascia ball, but the block provides a little bit more stability to bring the feet off the floor if you want. Either the knees stay bent, or you can extend them. So this is a modified version of legs up the wall. It's not quite as restorative as if you were to do it up against the wall. The legs lean against it, of course. But this is really nice if you if you find yourself standing a lot and you can reverse the blood flow. This is really nice for the low back, obviously. And this is also a nice pose for the end of the day to help induce sleep if you are fully restorative up against a wall. Okay, since we're here, we have to hold our legs here. It's a little more active. Make sure your head is fairly neutral, so the chin isn't in the chest, nor is it way up to the ceiling. You have a neutral cervical spine there. Once you've settled into your pose, come into an even count of breath, and you can choose your count. So maybe you'd like to extend it here to an 8 and 8, 6 and 6, 5 and 5. You find your rhythm, nice even breathing. And then I'm going to invite you into the Ujjayi Pranayama. So if you're not using that already, gently constrict the back of the throat so you can start to hear and feel it. And the breath is an even count as we take about 2 minutes here in a restorative bridge pose. about 2 more rounds of breath. And let's go ahead and lower the feet to the floor if they're off. Remove anything out from underneath you. Move that out of the way. Let's draw the knees into the chest, rounding that low back, maybe a little Apanasana, knee circles, knees wide. Just take a moment here for any movement that you feel completes your practice and prepares you to drop into Shavasana here in a moment. Go ahead and find your way to our final pose of Shavasana, extending the legs out along the floor, and really check in and notice if it would feel nice to place something underneath the knees or your head, or you'd like a blanket on you if you're cooling down. So what would make you completely comfortable and able to fully surrender and receive this practice this morning? As you settle in, find your way back into an even count of breath. Whether that's 4 or 5 or 6, whatever it is for you, just an even count of breath. And then notice if that's serving you and you'd like to stay there. You can keep the breath even and incorporate the Ujjayi Pranayama. You can also keep that engagement of the Ujjayi as well as doubling your exhale. So again, if you're in need of even some more groundedness, or for whatever reason that feels right for you, trust that. And then double your exhale in comparison to the inhale, using that Ujjayi Pranayama. A surrendering, a releasing, a letting go. And the more we let go, we create space to take in and receive.
At the completion of the next exhale, you're welcome to let that particular pranayama practice fade away. You can stay with it for another couple minutes if you choose. If you're choosing to let it fade away, allow your breath to just do its own thing, find its own rhythm, becoming quiet as we take just a few minutes here in silence together. Take a few deep breaths. Wiggle some fingers and toes. Maybe stretch overhead. Slowly roll to one side. Take a moment there. And then find your way to a seated position for a moment. And And as you find your way here, take a moment again to bring yourself back to the start of your day. Just kind of noticing how it began. Is that a normal way it begins? Was there an unusual event? Then let that go. And notice how you choose to start your day, if it's grounding, if it's centering, if it's nourishing, from the time you wake up. That sets the rest of our day. It sets the tone for the rest of our day. So if you don't experience that in the morning, what are some steps you might be willing to take, or something you'd be willing to shift or change to create that? It may be simply taking your cup of coffee or tea first thing and sitting down with it and being in gratitude. For some, it's a sacred text. It could be prayer or meditation. It doesn't matter as long as it's nourishing, grounding, and centering to you. And because this month, as I read, could be a more chaotic month, even more important than ever to begin our day that way. So bring your palms together to your heart. Make that promise to yourself, that a commitment to yourself, to begin in some way each day that's nourishing for your soul before you step out into the world. Thank you for allowing me to take the seat of teacher this morning. Namaste.